What's up, guys? Lance the Obscure Movie Guy coming to you once again with another fun-filled, fact-filled video that you probably won't care about, but we're going to do it anyways, trying to change the world one post at a time. And today we are talking about another fantastic independent film that I just recently got done watching. This is from Cinema Fanatic Productions. It's actually from a YouTube channel and a very smart, bright young man named Zachary Quine, who was... well, he was everything in this movie. It was like that old Bugs Bunny cartoon. So, Zach was, writer, Zachary Quine, editor, Zachary Quine, produced by Zachary Quine, starring Zachary Quine. It is called Faith Lost. So let's take a quick look about what Faith Lost is all about, and then we're going to dive into a review.
Zach Quine explains that the movie was inspired by Highlander and was originally going to have more swordplay, but that was cut to distance itself from Highlander. The title was inspired by Joel D. Wynkoop's film Lost Faith, and the Christian aspects came from my upbringing. Due to being the only person working on the film, that is why it took so long to complete. The plot is that an evil man finds a power that he uses to oppress people, but the power can be stopped by faith in God. So the amulet is passed down by a Christian family generation to generation to keep it out of evil hands. But the most recent family member is having a crisis of faith and is in danger of being corrupted by the power, as well as in danger of a strange, dark individual.
So as you can tell from the trailer and the little bit of information that we have, let me prerequisite this with Zachary Quine is not against constructive criticism, and I don't think I'm going to tell Zachary Quine anything that he probably hasn't already heard about this film. I do want to say, though, there's a lot of really cool things in this film that I want to talk about, so we can probably go through some of the obvious flaws in the movie, which would mostly be production quality. But again, I think he probably already knows that. So production quality, filming is kind of, the production quality is a little bit low. Some of the lighting is a little bit tough at some points. The audio is a bit messy. Some voices are higher than others. Then you have loud music. So there's a lot of audio things that could be, fixed a little bit. Some of the special effects are a little cheesy, but not necessarily in a bad way, and I'll dive into that in a little bit. But I think Zachary already knows a lot of this stuff. Zach strikes me as a pretty smart guy. He knows that, it looks like a lot of it was filmed on, a cell phone or a handheld camcorder, something to that effect. There's not a lot of dialogue. Some of the music or internal monologue, like I said, there's audio issues with the voices either being too low or the music being too loud. But what I do like about Zach, his YouTube channel, and the storyline is a pretty solid storyline. I would have liked to have seen it expand a little bit more on the Christian and God faith aspect of it. But the storyline's pretty good to start with. They could definitely use some expansion. But that's, what I get from Zach, and I watched a lot of his other videos, is that every time, and actually Zach even said this to me in one of our conversations, but everything that he does, every movie that he does is another opportunity to learn. And I get that a lot from a lot of the videos that he does. So if you go over to Cinema Fanatic, the YouTube channel, he's actually got like 30,000 subscribers and over 300 videos. But you scroll through his videos and you see he is constantly experimenting with ways to bring things to life, whether it's something as simple as like a human to werewolf transition, playing with special effects, whether it be practical special effects, animation, stuff like that. So he's always experimenting with ways to make things a little bit better. It's another interesting thing about this film. aside from the storyline itself, he explained to me that he shot this over the course of like 3 years. So keeping that in mind and knowing that while watching this, I'm kind of impressed because it wasn't shot chronologically. He told me it wasn't shot chronologically. It was shot over the course of 3 years. And those two factors for me really impressed me because there's not really any continuity errors with this film, which says a lot because you run into a lot of continuity errors and a lot of big budget stuff and a lot of other independent stuff. So his editing was pretty spot on. And to take a storyline like this, drop it for 6 months, go work on a different project, come back to it, pick up where you left off, and to put it back together, you know, when watching it, you can't tell that there's a 3-year transition there between, you know, when he was 23 to 26, even with the other actors. So Zach did a really good job of putting this together and always kind of maintaining that level with the film. You know, it never felt like it was, you know, you don't feel like it's produced at any different time. It may have been shot on something different, but it doesn't look that way. So he did a really good job putting this together over the course of 3 years. You should be really proud of that. Again, the storyline's pretty good. You know, obviously, like I said, audio is not that great. Some of the production value is not that great. Some of the scenes, you know, the graveyard and also the scene where he's learning how to shoot a gun, probably shot in the same spot. Probably not meant to be like in the movie the same spot, but in reality they were. But I really enjoyed the special effects with this movie. They're not like phenomenal by any means, but like the beginning of the movie takes place in like 1200, you know, and it's when you're watching the beginning of the movie, I really enjoyed it because it really, to me, it felt like a vintage throwback to like 1950s style filming and special effects, where it's kind of done with a cheesy green screen or something to that nature, and even like if it's a bit of a like a stop motion and it's not exactly how it's supposed to be, you know. But it really gave me like a really nice retro feel, and Zach did a good enough job to separate the characters, even if he's playing the same, not he's playing the same character, but the same person's playing different characters. He separates them enough that you don't feel like you're watching the same guy do multiple characters. And I will say Zach's acting in this was actually pretty good. There was a couple scenes, there was one scene in particular where he's dealing with a police detective, and I enjoyed Zach's energy in that scene. And it was a shame for me because I felt like the police detective couldn't match Zach's energy and professionalism. But good on Zach maintaining his energy and professionalism. I have found a lot that when you have mixed matched energies on screen, not only does it make for bad chemistry, but oftentimes the person that is better at the acting or the energy often gets brought down to the lower level versus the people that are at the lower level getting brought up. And I think that's kind of human nature. It's kind of easier to kind of bring yourself down to somebody as to try and build them up. It's a little bit more work. But when he did that scene with the police detective, his energy and his professionalism was much higher and better than that. It was a very short scene. It was only a few lines, but it was enough to be noticeable. So there's not a lot of dialogue in this movie, which doesn't bother me a whole lot because I think Bruce Lee said it best. Motion pictures are supposed to be just that, motion pictures. That's why if you watch Enter the Dragon or even any of Bruce Lee's films, really, he doesn't have a lot of dialogue because he was in of making motion, not speaking. So overall, this was a really interesting, not only is the movie kind of interesting to watch, but his channel itself, like I said, is really interesting to look at some of the other videos and kind of see how this young man has progressed his craft in each and everything that he does. You know, and I really feel like he could do a lot of really cool things if he was given the budget or the equipment. You know, just a little bit of a, I don't want to say a handout, maybe a hand up, you know, in some of the stuff that he does, because he's a really smart kid. He's really sharp. And I love watching some of his videos and just seeing how he plays with certain practical special effects, you know, how he can do some of these transitions from, you know, human to werewolf, or, you know, vampire to human, bat, whatever. He's got a lot of cool stuff on his YouTube channel that's kind of worth watching, especially if you're a young filmmaker and you're still kind of green and new to it. He's got a lot of cool tips and stuff that you can kind of pick out and learn from. So Zach, I mean, the movie, obviously we're not winning any Oscars with this. I did like the storyline. I think if maybe you would do an Indiegogo, maybe get a little bit of a budget, you could probably do this again, and make it a lot better with better special effects, maybe add a little bit more substance to the dialogue and to the storyline itself. But overall, not bad. I think it was executed pretty well, especially considering it was done over 3 years. I think that was executed really well, Zach. So appreciate you letting me take a look at this. I know this video has been a long time coming. I've been wrapped up in a lot of stuff with work and then some personal things, so it took me a while to get to this and get it done, and I do apologize about that, but thank you for being patient with me. I'm glad I watched this. Keep up the excellent work. Guys, I'm going to leave a link in the description for the video to Cinema Fanatic, Zach's YouTube channel. Guys, like, subscribe, and comment to my YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, and comment to Zach's, obviously. Check him out. And I will see everybody in the next video.